All right, I wanted to talk about the beanie-headed Alex Jones, Tim Pool. I like a lot of his stuff. He brings the news, and his Subverse channel is very good because it just basically brings you news direct, and it's mostly unfiltered. So you get to see what's on the ground in certain situations. They went to Hong Kong. Um, that's pretty cool. He's not the only one to go to Hong Kong, but they did some good interviews on one of the videos I watched. But when he's speaking of this, one of his recent videos on an Antifa killing, someone got killed in front of um, an establishment in Portland who seems to be an Antifa person, and run over by a truck, and then the truck was shot at, and and I guess the truck hit the Democratic um, local Democratic office in Portland, which I can see why the left is connected to the Democrats. That seems to be kind of interesting how an Antifa hangout's right next to the Democratic um, office. Um, and I'm assuming the person got away because they're looking for, tips and stuff. So, okay, so someone's armed. They must be armed at that place. So the incident happened. Someone fired at the truck. Truck swerved, crashed, got away. I mean, this is like Wild West, like a Western novel, Louis L'Amour. You know, it's just the same stuff that's been going on for hundreds of years. It's just not too many places can you have a gunfight or a bar fight situation and not get caught. So he thinks it's evidence of his civil war coming. Um, there's a book on archive.org that's called The Second Civil War, I believe. It's kind of, I can't find a print edition of it, but it talks about a lot of things that could happen, and it's written in, I think, in the 90s. Ex military guy, and he talks about a lot of divisions that could happen. And I think that's worth looking into. Also, I would say um, I don't really buy it. I think it's more of an isolated Portland thing. He sounds like Alex Jones in the sense that, or any talk show person, anyone needs to keep talking, and they decide to use extreme, edgy politics is gonna, from uh, Michael Savage, any of the Alex Jones, left wing people, anyone on any side who needs to talk every day needs to keep this going. And eventually there'll be a conflict, right? If you predicted Hong Kong would erupt 20 years ago, you'd be right today, but it took a long time, or that China will fall, communist China will fall. I predicted this 30 years ago, or whatever. Anyway, it's the narrative that he's going for. So I like his news, and it's not super bad that he's doing this, but I also want to just call it as fear news. And anyway, his brother is a clickbait artist, so that's he learned some tricks. I don't blame him 100% on that stuff. Um, but I personally, besides that, his delivery or his choice of content, which I do consume, a decent amount. But you pick your niche and you go for it. That's what YouTube's about. Photography, coding, food, gardening, mechanic. Anything if you're into trains, automobiles, Teslas, makeup, you're gonna find just people talking. Skateboarding. Food delivery, aviation, drones, other nonsense I don't even know about. You're gonna have to continue with the content. Okay, so I believe that this sort of thing will have its flashpoints to the St. Louis. Okay, for example, St. Louis Trump event, Trump speech. There was supposedly some attacks on Trump people. They were burning. I heard Tim say they were burning captured hats, but I heard that they were. I saw a report that said they were purchased and you know dumped and burned. I don't. It wasn't like that many scalps were taken. But anyway, there is people who are in the. I saw some videos of police pushing back crowds of antagonists, and this is the Northeast, or not the Northeast, but like anything east of the Mississippi to me has a different dynamic than the West. Um, but I mean, some places like the South and the West, even though you have liberals in the West, it's a little bit different. We're a little more dependent on each other. We're not so urbanized outside of some of the major cities, and even so, I think we're little different than the East Coast. Always have been. Anyway, I do think, to my main point, I do think that this is an isolated Oregon Portland event. This Portland, the Civil War he's talking about is going to be in Portland. If you read history, like the was it John Brown or whatever, his name John Brown. He was like an anti-slavery guy. They confined that situation to his region. Um, Little flare-ups. I think most people are comfortable enough that they're not. You need a lot of people who are uncomfortable and then suffering to rise up. Um, it's not. I mean, it's something like Hong Kong, where you are eminently going to be invaded by a large country, and it's over. That's when shit starts happening, and even that hasn't even escalated to the point of a civil war. I mean, you can call it a civil war in a way, right? And there's been conflicts, border conflicts have happened forever. Anyway, I think it just can be isolated to Portland, to the people who live there, the extreme left, and the normal right, and also the extreme right. Because up there, the right is underrepresented in politics and I think in viewpoints and stuff. So there'll be some overlap. Um, but I think that's uh, a specific problem of that region. That's just kind of like wacky, and I don't think it's going to spread. It's going to stay in that zone. Portland, Antifa area, Eugene, Oregon. You got the East Oregon and any kind of rural areas. You don't have that kind of Antifa feel, but you do have it in the cities. It's drawn. I guess it's drawn people there, and also it's grown roots down there from the '90s. You can look it up there. There's like anarchist radio stations and stuff that have history, and also that circles around to the extreme right as well. They have, I'm not going to name the names, types of people up there, but the opposite. But they kind of intersect at some point. So I think it's just you know, it's a shit hell place to, divide, have a divided belief system. It's probably like Spain or something, Civil War Spain. Um, but the right is more reactive right now, and the Antifa is on the aggressive side because they believe that Trump is in power, and that's just the hell has come. Their atheist hell, whatever that is. Anyway, I think Tim Pool is continuing with this Civil War thing, just like Alex Jones is. He's the beanie Alex Jones. No disrespect, power to that. But I disagree. Oh yeah, there's one other person that did some work on this. I think it was Ford Observer, and he ran through some scenarios of what a real civil war would look like. It'd be regional, it'd be pockets, stuff like that. And I think most people are just not going to not take part of it. And there's no in his report or his viewpoints was that most people who don't care will get swept up in it. Maybe in non-Western countries that might happen, but in Western countries, and especially now with media and or communication through internets, cell phones, you got to take everything down and hide the truth. You're not going to get people to instigate. They're not. It's just maybe regionally in Portland, yeah, it'll be like a LA riot type thing, but it's not going to be. Maybe you have like roving gangs of vigilantes against each other, but that's it. And then the crackdown will happen. The state will take care of shit. They're holding back right now. They really want to crack down on people. They will regionally, the state, the city, the state, and then if we need to bring in, federal forces, it's going to be shut down real quick. Just arrest them all, and be done. Anyway, there's no civil war going to happen. Not, I don't believe so.